HMS Surprise is the third historical novel in the Aubrey-Maturin series by Patrick O'Brian, first published in 1973. The series follows the partnership of Captain Jack Aubrey and the naval surgeon Stephen Maturin during the wars against Napoleon's France. Maturin is torture-gathering intelligence. On HMS Surprise, Aubrey and Maturin make a long voyage to bring an ambassador to Southeast Asia, rounding the southern tip of Africa. Some reviewers found the novel with superb depictions of life, yet too full of nautical detail, while others found that detail part of the author's erudition and not in the way of the plot. The author showed capacity for creating another completely believable world, while another reviewer said the novel is stretching its genre but never escaping it. Plot summary. A convoy including Aubrey seized the ships carrying the gold deemed necessary by Spain to agree to join the war on the side of France, on the quibble that Spain had not yet entered the war. The new First Lord of the Admiralty decides that vast sum is a joy to the Crown, so thus not shared out with the captors. Smaller amounts will be distributed to the captains, quite opposite to the expectations of the successful convoy. The First Lord blunders into mentioning the name of intelligence agent Stephen Maturin during the proceedings, very risky for Maturin. Maturin goes on a mission to Spain, and is to be picked up at Port Mahon by Aubrey, now on convoy duty near Toulon on HMS Lively. At the rendezvous point, Aubrey learns from a Catalan revolutionary that Maturin has been captured and is being tortured by French intelligence in Port Mahon on Minorca. Returned to Spain in the Peace of Amiens, Aubrey leads a rescue mission, saving a ravaged Maturin and killing all but one of the French interrogators. In England, Aubrey is taken by bailiffs and is held in a sponging house. Maturin tells Sir Joseph of his capture and Aubrey's predicament. Aubrey's marriage to Sophia Williams is deferred, as her mother insists that he be debt-free. Maturin gets Aubrey in advance on his grant of money. Aubrey is released. Sophia meets Aubrey before he takes command of his new ship HMS Surprise. They meet in a coach in the middle of the night, and promise to marry no one else. Aubrey and Maturin leave in the Surprise to ferry an ambassador to the Sultan of Kampong on the Malay Peninsula. Aubrey hopes to find the French squadron commanded by Admiral Linois, who once took him prisoner. Surprise gets caught in the doldrums north of the equator, and the crew show signs of scurvy. On a very hot Sunday, Maturin takes a short stop on St. Paul's Rock. Two serious storms strike. The officer who rowed him out is drowned and Surprise is damaged and driven out of sight. Maturin survives on bird-fouled water and the blood of boobies, and claims that these days under the hot sun have restored his health after the torture. They stop along the coast of Brazil for fresh foods and supplies, and a sloth. This is Maturin's first time in the New World. They put in at Rio for mail. Refitted and repainted, Surprise goes wide around the Cape of Good Hope, held by the Dutch, who are allied with Napoleon. In the waters of the Antarctic Ocean, they endure a severe storm. The ambassador becomes very ill. They put into Bombay in India to refit after the storms and to rest the ambassador. Maturin meets a local streetwise child, a girl named Dill, who eagerly shows him around the city. Maturin is watching a parade with Dill when he sees Diana Villiers, who has returned to India ahead of her companion, Richard Canning. They agree to visit, and spend several days together, at the end of which Maturin asks her to marry him. She does not reply immediately, but promises she will when Surprise stops in Calcutta. Maturin finds Dill dead and robbed of the silver bracelets that he had given her. He supervises her cremation on the shore. The ambassador dies before reaching the Sunda Straits of the Surprise sets sail for Britain. They encounter the East India Company's China fleet, returning to England unescorted. A day after leaving the China fleet, the Surprise spots Illinois's squadron in the Indian Ocean. Surprise engages the smallest ship of the squadron, the corvette Berceau, shredding her rigging, then speeds back to the China fleet to warn them and organize a defense. Choosing the largest ships of the China fleet, Aubrey dresses them as men of war and sends some of his officers to help them fight. The French squadron closes on the Surprise and the large Indiaman. The Surprise engages the largest French warship, the Marengo. She is outgunned and in peril when one of the Indiamen engages the French ship from the other side, forcing Marengo to disengage. Damage forces the French squadron to abandon the chase in order to refit. Ashore in Calcutta, Aubrey receives an enthusiastic welcome from the merchants, including Canning, who are happy to refit the Surprise. As a personal reward, they allow him to transport jewels as freight, which will earn him a good price upon his arrival in England. During the refit, Canning finds Maturin in the company of Villiers. In a fit of jealousy, Canning slaps Maturin, and Maturin challenges him to a duel. Canning intends to kill Maturin, but wounds him. Maturin intends to wound Canning, but kills him. Maturin convinces Villiers to return to England on a merchant ship that will leave immediately, rather than tend to him as he recovers aboard the Surprise. With the help of Aubrey and Maturin, Maturin stoically operates on himself, removing the bullet near his heart. Aubrey tends to his friend in the worst period of fever, where the secretive man speaks all his secrets. Aubrey sends a note to Sophia, asking her to meet at Madeira, having had news of funds to clear his debts. In port, as Maturin finds that Villiers left him a note returning the ring he gave her, and travelled with Mr. Johnston from America, who had visited her in Calcutta. Sophia is not there. Within a day's sailing, Aubrey overtakes the frigate HMS Aetherian under Hennig Dundas and finds that Sophia is aboard. She promises to marry him once they return to England. Characters. See also recurring characters in the Aubrey-Maturin series. Jack Aubrey, captain in the Royal Navy on HMS Lively, and then appointed captain of HMS Surprise. Stephen Maturin, ship's surgeon, physician, natural philosopher, intelligence agent and close friend to Aubrey. Sophia Williams, young beautiful woman promised to Jack Aubrey, of good family and good marriage settlement. Mrs. Williams, Sophia's mother, a woman of unpleasant ways who wants her daughters well married. Cecilia and Frances Williams, younger sisters of Sophia, each married before the Surprise reaches Bombay. Frances marries Sir Oliver Flood, MP, and Cecilia marries his younger cousin, a militia officer. Diana Villiers, cousin to Sophia, who escapes the Williams household to be kept by Canning, and who is the love of Stephen Maturin. Mr. Hinksey, Reverend, who lives near Mapes Court, visiting often. Mrs. Williams pushes Sophia to marry him instead of her fiancé Aubrey. Instead, he officiates at the weddings of Cecilia and Francis. He is a friend to Rev. Mr. White. Sir Joseph Blaine, head of naval intelligence, entomologist, and Maturin's contact. Mr. Waring, assistant to Sir Joseph and his likely successor upon Blaine's retirement. Mr. Simmons, First Lieutenant on HMS Lively, who was effective in the actions taking out French shore batteries, the destruction of French stores ship Aubrey-Maturin, taking the French gunboat with its current signal book. The gunboat is used to retrieve Maturin from torture in Port Mahon. He told Aubrey of the engagement announced in the Times and of the gift the Livelies will give him and Sophia. Mr. Randall, Second Lieutenant on HMS Lively. Mr. Garin, he is a Lord and Third Lieutenant on HMS Lively. He is met again in the Mauritius commander's captain of a brig in the action. Mr. Fielding, Lieutenant on HMS Lively. Mr. John Dashwood, Lieutenant on HMS Lively. Joan Marigal, Catalan friend of Maturin who leads Aubrey to him on Port Mahon. Captain Duthoud, the lead French interrogator and torturer at Port Mahon, and the one who escaped death when Aubrey rescued the prisoners, possibly killed by the other prisoners after he left the building. Mr. Harvey, First Lieutenant on HMS Surprise until Bombay, where he joins his uncle, an admiral, for likely promotion. He does his work, but does not have the authority needed for best operation of the ship. Mr. Staunton, First Lieutenant replacing Harvey, more qualified for his role, especially during the action with Linois. Mr. Nichols, Second Lieutenant aboard Surprise. He rows Maturin out to St. Paul's Rocks. When the fierce storm hits, Maturin survives, but there is no trace of Nichols of the boat. Before the storm, he tells Maturin of his troubles with his wife, who has not written to him to end the argument they had. Tom Pullings, Lieutenant in the Royal Navy, third of the Surprise, and considered a follower of Captain Aubrey. He is married now. His experience during the peace aboard East Indiaman serves HMS Surprise well as she nears Sunda Strait and Sumatra. Mr. Babington, midshipman who is nearing his time to pass for lieutenant as Surprise slowly makes her way south in the Atlantic Ocean. He is appointed acting lieutenant when the second lieutenant is lost in the storm. He is always seeking female companions in port, is sometimes leaving the ship without permission. Mr. Callow, one of the young men in the midshipman's berth. In the action against Linois, a block falls on his head, which he survives. Barrett Bondon, Aubrey's coxswain, who learns to write by lessons from Maturin on the Surprise sailing in the Atlantic. Preserved Killick, Aubrey's steward. Mr. M. Alistair, assistant surgeon to Stephen Maturin in sick room, and in Maturin's surgery on himself. Mr. Stanhope, sent as ambassador to the Sultan of Kampong, the reason for Aubrey's mission on the Surprise. Mr. Atkins, secretary to Mr. Stanhope, then in the employ of Canning upon reaching Calcutta, an agent for Maturin. Reverend Mr. White, parson in Stanhope's party. He alone stays on HMS Surprise after Stanhope dies, and they encounter the East Indiaman offering fast to return to England for the cost of passage. Still, girl about 10 years old, Maturin's exuberant Indian guide in Bombay who is killed for the silver bangles Maturin gave her. Richard Canning, rich Jewish merchant, Diana Villiers' protector in India. He is married to another woman who plans to meet him in Calcutta. Canning encounters Maturin in Bombay and again in Calcutta. Charles Alexandre Elia Couteau and Durand Linois, French admiral aboard Marengard, in charge of the French squadron. General Aubrey, father of Jack Aubrey. He brings his wife and son to visit Sophia unannounced, fortunately when her mother was not home. Mrs. Aubrey, second wife of General Aubrey, previously a dairymaid at the family estate of Woolcombe. Philip Aubrey, son born to General Aubrey by his second wife, as mentioned in previous novel Post Captain. Mr. Johnston of America, man who Villiers joined in Madeira. Heneage Dundas, captain in the Royal Navy and close friend to Aubrey, carries Sophia to meet him near Madeira. Ships: the British HMS Lively. HMS Surprise, frigate. China Fleet Addington, Indiaman. Ocean, Indiaman. Camden, Indiaman. Bombay Castle, Indiaman. Alfred, Indiaman. Wexford, Indiaman. Lushington, Indiaman. Royal George, Indiaman. The French, Marengo 74 gunship of the line commanded by Linois. Berceau 22-gun corvette. Semi-Yante 36-gun frigate. Belpool 40-gun frigate. Reviews. Valerie Webster, writing in The Scotsman, found that his books can absorb and enthrall landlubbers like myself who do not even know the difference between a jib-boom and a taffrail. Library Journal reviewed this novel as part of an abridged audio edition, finding superb depictions of life, and highly recommended it in full. These two selections represent a series of abridged audiobook versions of O'Brien's works narrated by Robert Hardy, the most blustery and unstudied of British actors. Hardy reads the stories cold, but here it works. He uses his voice to evoke everything from brutality to mannered drawing-room excesses to the physical threat of a storm at sea. The stories of superb depictions of life on a British man of war and incorporate O'Brien's exquisitely accurate historical detail. The friendship of protagonists Captain Jack Aubrey and ship's surgeon Stephen Maturin plays out against an expansive ocean from India to the Atlantic, with a full complement of battles and adventures at sea for devotees of naval fiction. Highly recommended. Mark Pumphrey, Polk County, PL, Columbus, NC. Publishers Weekly liked the plot but, unlike the other reviewers, found the nautical details sometimes overwhelming. This long out-of-print naval adventure in the series that started with Master and Commander finds Captain Jack Aubrey in charge of the HMS Surprise. His ship's surgeon and friend, Stephen Maturin, sidelines in espionage and natural science. Through Maturin's eyes we see the environment in great detail down to the species of beetle that inhabits an area. The Surprise is commissioned to deliver an English envoy to India. It is the early 19th century, when England fought for supremacy over France and Napoleon's navy, and Aubrey itches for an engagement with the crafty old French Admiral Linois. He hopes to capture the French ship and earn the prize money that would clear his debt and allow him to marry Sophie, his true love. O'Brien knows his history and sailing, as is evident in the rich particulars sometimes overwhelming. Those who don't know the foretopsail from the main topsail will at times be as lost as landlubbers on a stormy sea, stretching its genre but never escaping it. The novel will impress those who enjoy swashbucklers. May Helen Lucy Burke, writing in the Irish Press, said, "Few, very few, books have made my heart thud with excitement. HMS Surprise managed it. I read it cruising through the tame Adriatic, and several times found myself forced to pace about the deck to calm my pulse." Patrick O'Brien's erudition is phenomenal, as is his capacity for creating another completely believable world. He convinces with his total accuracy even in tiny details. Adaptations. The novel was adapted in 3 parts in the afternoon play Strand on BBC Radio 4, adapted by Roger Danes and directed and produced by Bruce Young, with Aubrey played by David Robin, Maturin by Richard Delane. The rest of the cast was preserved: Killick, John Glover, Barrett Bondon, David Timson, Sir Joseph Blaine, Struan Roger, Sophie Williams, Liz Sutherland, Lieutenant Pullings, David Holt, Lieutenant Simmons, Dan Starkey, Mrs. Williams, Lady Forbes, Leslie Nichols, Cecilia Williams, Miss Agatha, Sarah Danes, Diana Villiers, Ajoa Ando, Arthur Stanhope, David Timson, Midshipman Callow, Carl Prekop, Tobias Atkins, Stephen Critchlow, Lieutenant Nichols, Dan Starkey, Midshipman Babington, Chris Pavlow, Canning, Chris Pavlow. Publication history. 1973 USA, J. B. Lippincott, hardback, ISBN 0397009984, 9780397009985. 1973 UK, Collins, hardback, first UK edition, ISBN 00221316-8. 1976 Fontana, paperback edition, ISBN 0061418111. 1989 Fontana Press, paperback, ISBN 0061418111, 9780061418115. 1991 May W. W. Norton, paperback, ISBN 0393307611, 9780393307610. 1992 Recorded Books Audio CD, narrator Patrick Dull, ISBN 1-4025-2828-0, 978-1-4025-2828-6. 1993 February Isis Audio Books Audio Cassette, ISBN 1-85089-876-6, 978-1-85089-876-4. 1994 November W. W. Norton and Amp Company, hardcover reprint edition, ISBN 0393037037, 978-0393-03703-6. 1995 November Bespoke Audio Cassette, ISBN 1-86051-0051, 978-1-86051-0052. 1997 January HarperCollins, paperback, ISBN 00649917-1, 978-00649917-6. 1997 April Firebird Distributing Audio Cassette, narrator Robert Hardy, ISBN 00105331-0, 978-00105331-1. 1998 January HarperCollins, hardback, ISBN 00221316-8, 978-0397-00998-5. 1998 August Random House Audio Cassette, ISBN 0375-40524-0, 978-0375-40524-2. 2000 June Thorndike Press, large print hardcover edition, ISBN 078621934-3, 978-078621934-6. 2000 June Chivers large print paperback, ISBN 07540-23508, 978-07540-23500. 2001 September Recorded Books Audio Cassette, ISBN 1-4025-0222-2, 978-1-4025-0222-4. 2002 HarperCollins reprint paperback edition, ISBN 0064999171. 2002 January Chivers large print hardback, ISBN 075401460-6, 978-075401460-7. 2002 September Soundings Audio CD, ISBN 1-84283-262-X, 978-1-84283-262-2. 2003 2004, March Blackstone Audiobooks Audio CD Edition ISBN 0-7861-2765-1-978-1 for 159-03995. 2004, April Blackstone Audio MP3 CD Audio ISBN 0-7861-8562-7-978-0-7861-8562-7. 2004, April Blackstone Audio CD Library Edition ISBN 0-7861-8633-X 978-0-7861-8633-4. 2004, July Books on Tape Audio CD ISBN 1-4159-0400-6 978-1 for 159-0408. 2007, Harper Paperback ISBN 000-725585-3 978-000-725585-6. 2011, W. Norton and Amp Company, e-book edition ISBN 9780393088465. 2013, August Blackstone Audio CD, Reader Simon Vance ISBN 1-4829-5512-1 978-1-4829-5512-5. This novel was first published by Lippincott in the USA and Collins in the UK. W. Norton issued a reprint in the USA 21 years after the initial publication as part of its reissue in paperback of all the novels in the series prior to 1991, except for the 1973 Collins hardback and 1976 Fontana paperback UK editions above. The list of editions is drawn from Fantastic Fiction. The process of reissuing the novels initially published prior to 1991 was in full swing in 1991, as the whole series gained a new and wider audience. As Mark Howowitz describes in writing about The Nutmeg of Constellation, the 14th novel in the series and initially published in 1991. Two of my favorite friends are fictitious characters. They live in more than a dozen volumes, always near at hand. The names are Jack Aubrey and Stephen Maturin, and the creator is a 77-year-old novelist named Patrick O'Brien, whose 14 books about them have been continuously in print in England since the first Master and Commander was published in 1970. O'Brien's British fans include T.J. Binion, Iris Murdoch, A.S. Byatt, Timothy Moe and the late Mary Renault. But, until recently, this splendid saga of two serving officers in the British Royal Navy during the Napoleonic Wars was unavailable in this country, apart from the first few installments which went immediately out of print. Last year, however, W. Norton decided to reissue the series in its entirety, and so far 9 of the 14 have appeared here, including the most recent chapter, The Nutmeg of Constellation. Bibliography. A. Cunningham, ed. Patrick O'Brien. Critical Appreciations and a Bibliography. British Library. ISBN 0-7123-1071-1. Anchoetsonoff Grossman, Lisa Grossman Thomas. Lobscouse Spotted Dog, which is a gastronomic companion to the Aubrey-Maturin novels. W. Norton and Amp Co. ISBN 0-393-32094-4. Dean King, Essay of Words, Lexicon and Companion for Patrick O'Brien's Seafaring Tales. Henry Holt, ISBN 0-8050-66152. Dean King, Harbors and High Seas, Map Book and Geographical Guide to the Aubrey-Maturin Novels of Patrick O'Brien. Henry Holt, ISBN 0-8050-66144-4. Brian Lavery. Jack Aubrey commands, an historical companion to the naval world of Patrick O'Brien. Conway Maritime. ISBN 0851779468. David Miller. The World of Jack Aubrey. 12-pounders, frigates, cutlasses, and insignia of His Majesty's Royal Navy. Running Press Book Publishers. ISBN 07624-16521. Richard O'Neill. Patrick O'Brien's Navy, the illustrated companion to Jack Aubrey's World. Running Press. ISBN 07624-15401.